It's a great possibility that if you are on LinkedIn, then you might have come across articles such as global scale chaos, too many keywords, too little clarity, wake up call, 80% of jobs could disappear, and what to do about it. We track packages better than people, and it's holding us back. Well, guess what, guys? Today on CyberJA, we have the publisher of those articles, John Gleist the third. I strongly recommend that you also subscribe to all of John's articles, in particular the digital talent strategies, to get all of his latest updates. I am Richie Perry, and in today's conversation on CyberJA, John will be providing us with his experience and insights into our subject at hand, SFIA to the rescue, solving the security unemployment skills shortage crisis. So, John, nice to have you joining us on such short notice.
Thanks for having me.
Great. And I definitely look forward to this conversation. I think that there is a lot for us to learn, especially as it relates to Sophia. Many of us might not even understand or are aware of what this is. But of course, for us who are in cybersecurity, then we often hear a lot as it relates to the fact that there is a skills shortage, there's a disparity in terms of what is happening within cybersecurity. So, looking at your article, John, in terms of we track packages better than people, and it is holding us back. What is your take on the often discussed subject of there are lots of cybersecurity jobs, but we don't have enough skilled professionals to fill those roles? Is this the reality? And you can speak about this article first. I mean, your article that you have published in brief to give us, our audience, some context into the answer to the question accordingly. But first, let us have an idea, a sneak peek into your background.
Sure. So, again, pleasure to make everyone's acquaintance. I am John. At my heart, I'm probably first a Sophia framework evangelist. I've totally bought into this Sophia concept and have led the charge to try to gain more traction on this side of the world. I am Pittsburgh proud in the United States. And as of late, I have transitioned into a global partner role, collaborating more with countries where there is a lot more Sophia awareness. And in some circumstances, entire governments and countries have standardized on this Sophia framework. So I spent the first 2.5 years screaming from the mountaintops trying to get someone to pay attention to Sophia. Now I'm in a little bit more of a strategic role, helping partners to better engage with their customers and more so achieve the skills first, skills based talent strategies, get away from these keywords, AI fueled resumes that don't actually begin to describe what people do. And I love how it creates equality. It's an equitable, scientific, objective way to go about defining first and then measuring folks on the same page. So business analysis, digital forensics, they mean the same thing. You practice them at the same levels. So that's where my core is. I spent a lot of my time working in the ServiceNow ecosystem, trying to achieve. I got a long background in IT service management, similar, lots of ISACA experience back in the day. And I don't get to say this very often, but I was the 2012 ITSMF USA Member of the Year.
Awesome. Well, great. As it relates to very interesting. I mean, I was actually going through all of your articles, and I'm saying to myself that we definitely need to. Well, first of all, we have so many frameworks, and at times people seem to be confused in terms of what frameworks to select, how to apply these frameworks. But I recently came across, I mean, Sophia, as you have recently mentioned, I wasn't even aware that there was actually a
Mhm.
framework that could actually help us, especially on the hiring side, in terms of creating that proper alignment of what is required by the job itself versus what is actually placed on these resumes and job descriptions. And it hurts me at times when I'm seeing that you have so many professionals, there are so many skilled people, and yet still they are saying that there's a shortage of. So there has to be some problem. Where is that disparity between filling those gaps versus people who have these skill set? There seems to be a misalignment.
Sure, I agree wholeheartedly. It goes back to, I think a lot of people here know Dr. Blake Curtis. He and I connected up very early in our career, and we talked about that there really isn't anything out there that can measure the difference between knowledge, proficiency, and competence. And with the SFIA framework, it's the best in the SFIA Foundation itself is doing amazing things. We're on version 9, so you still never heard of it. We're 9 versions in. They've
Mhm.
been around 25 years now. The first version of SFIA came out right after Y2K, right? So you've got volunteers and advisors around the world from some of the largest government and enterprises contributing to the continuous development of SFIA. But the fact of the matter is, it's a nonprofit that's owned by a charity. So they don't have the marketing budgets of SAP, Oracle, or any of the large. So when I went to this conference I was telling you about last time we talked in Vegas, it was one of the largest HR technology shows. There was hundreds of vendors in that room that were trying to answer what we call the skills assumption conundrum, right?
Mhm.
What skills do we have? What skills do we need? How do we fill the gaps? We can talk for the next 30, 40 minutes, but those are the three most important questions, right? So,
I definitely, at least for my audience in particular, one of those things is actually for you to give us some depth into what this framework is and how this can actually help hiring managers in terms of creating that
sure.
proper alignment so that we can actually start narrowing down this gap that exists for employment, not only for the cybersecurity professional, but just right across the board generally.
I think I have it in one of those blogs that LinkedIn has a little over 41,000 skills that you can go on and narrow it down to. There are vendors out there that mine 50 million job descriptions. I'm not going to give them some free love on your podcast, but they've narrowed it down to 30,000. And I challenge that 30,000 is still way better than the digital chaos that exists today. But Sophia 9 is 147. My favorite word for Sophia, I think, is overlay, right? It's
Mhm.
not the same as frameworks that you think in the traditional sense because it's not prescriptive,
Okay.
right? Sophia doesn't tell you what to do about your talents. All it is a framework for measuring and assessing scientifically and objectively the skills and competencies you have in your organization. There is not a drop of advice in there on what you should do from there. That's what's different. And maybe I don't love the word framework. It is a framework, but when I've spent my life in frameworks, ITIL, COBIT, ISO, KCS, and I have a bunch of certifications that say, but I've been in a sales and marketing career my whole life. You don't want to hire me to do any of that stuff. I just told you I was member of the year for service management, but that was because I was not because I was the best practitioner in the world. I grew their social presence by the thousands that year. I contributed to the industry, but you wouldn't want to hire me to run your help desk. I could keynote your next conference on it, but you don't want to hire me to do it. And that's what's so different. Like many companies, if you ask them for what their skills inventory is, you'll get lots of list of certifications, the CV from when they started, right? What training programs you completed this year. But if you look at my Credly, I've got all kind of badges, and like I said, you don't necessarily want to hire me for a lot of those things I
Mhm.
have knowledge about, but absolutely no proficiency or competence in.
Okay, great. So going back to your article, can you give us some context as it relates to we track packages better than people in this article and that alignment with Sophia? I think that that's very
Sure.
important.
Absolutely. I mean, it was kind of a moment for me last week as I was thinking about the organizations that lead the shipping and logistics of the world, the FedExes, the DHLs, right? UPS, the postal services. There's endless amounts of them. And even if you just take a step back 20 years, you used to place an order on Amazon and just wait, right? There was maybe some advancements more if you looked at freight around the world, but you put a bill of lading on the ship, and then when it got to the port on the other end, you opened it up. These days, you could track where it is in the ocean, where it is on the ship, and it might have a air tag or something sitting in the box that you could just pop on your app. And it's like, man, if we could take that level of those companies have refined those processes over and over and over and over again. And I talk in the article, Amazon won because they got better and faster at doing it all. That's why we've lost a lot of the small businesses over here. It wasn't just because they could buy 10 times as much product and get a lower price. It was because they could do it better, faster, and more efficiently with skilled people who are constantly focused on upskilling and reskilling because that's such a highly competitive market, right? If we could take that same passion and consistent approach to the people side of digital, imagine what we could do.
Yeah. That's also very interesting because I'm actually looking at it to say that on the logistics side, they have actually found a system or a process or a methodology that actually works. And it works based on, I mean, the results and what you're actually seeing, especially for us as end users, as customers, being able to track, manage all of our various goods, items. Then we recognize that whatever system they have in place actually works. So if we in the in the digital sphere in terms of employment, ensuring that our hiring managers are actually putting together the right job descriptions for a particular role. I am thinking that there is no fix, as you would say, not really framework, but system in place that actually standardizes or guides what is required. For example, if I should pull up maybe a job, say a system analyst or a database administrator, two different hiring managers, two different companies, let's say they're using the same databases, and you look at those two job descriptions, I can guarantee you that there are two different sets of requirements for the same title based on the organization. And to me, that's where that disparity is. Who is actually guiding or what is guiding to say these should be the fundamentals, and after, then these are those specific things that the company might be doing differently.
I
That's
would
where I think there needs
challenge
to, yes.
So I would challenge that the problem lies even a little deeper because system analyst is, I'm just going to call it really bad job. That's a bad job title. What does it mean? Database administrator. It still doesn't get into the granularity. And one of the, again, why I love Sophia. In the world of Sophia, all of those unique vendor specific attributes to your skills are called skill attributes, right? So it's cybersecurity. I have skill attributes with Cisco or CMMI, or those all become the micro credentials in a lot of circumstances. that fall under this overlay, right?
Mhm.
So job descriptions are broken at their core today. No, you can't. Oh, hold on. I need to shut off notifications. Our weekly email newsletter is going out as we speak. And can you hear all of that going on?
Sure. I mean, that's the noise that we all have to deal with as not only security professionals, but right across the
Let me
board.
see if I can quit Teams here and shut off Outlook and mute my phone real quick. Sorry. As I
Sure.
said, our boss likes it, our CEO likes it when it's more authentic and genuine and dealing with the same things everybody else out there is. I think I've got it handled. Sorry about the distraction. Sign
Sure, no
up for
worries.
our weekly newsletter, I guess, is the point. That's all people clicking on it, so it must be good.
Great. So yeah, I mean, so I definitely think that. But going back to the Sophia in of itself, how can this be adapted? Is there a particular roadmap in terms of incorporating how easy it is to adapt and to apply this particular system or process or framework?
Sure. So it's actually deployed at a countrywide level in Australia and New Zealand. I would encourage some of your readers, followers, to check out the Indeed or job boards in regions in Oceania where they're already 7, 8 years into this journey. And you'll see that the system analyst position that you described just a few minutes ago is listed by the top 6 to 10 SFIA skills at what levels of responsibility and whether they are knowledge, proficiency, or competence required. So the resumes there are no longer having names at the top. They no longer have a geography on the resume. It is here is 6 to 10 objective SFIA digital badges that suggest this individual has the skills and competencies at the appropriate levels, and those are the folks that are getting the interview. You don't hire just based on that data, but that you still have to determine cultural fit, that sort of other thing that's part of it. But look at what they're doing in Australia in federal and provincial jobs, and you'll see it's the model of what we really need to create. Half of the battle of not having enough positions or getting a job out of there is because the first job says it's an entry level position, must have 3 years of experience. How do you do that? I'm working
That's the
with some
thing.
simulation vendors that are trying to solve that problem to give folks real world experience, but it's broken at the core, and I'm trying to disrupt it, honestly.
Well, definitely, I am here. I mean, cheering for you as it relates to, I mean, Sophia and getting this across because we definitely need more. I mean, as you have rightly said, evangelism in regards to the awareness because I really don't think that's based on my experience of, I mean, speaking with other people within this sphere, they don't have that understanding of this framework. So this definitely needs to get out more across so that more hiring managers, more professional, more industries, organizations can be aware of what this is and what this is able to achieve for our professionals. But from your background, what are some of those challenges that exist in terms of actually implementing this within organizations?
Organizational change management and the need thereof when you're trying to do something like this. Assessments, the word itself makes
Hmm.
people typically feel some kind of way, right? Some people like understanding the skills. Other people are immediately defensive and think you're about to lay everybody off, and they give you way over inflated results. Or there's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily have the self confidence. And that's what's about SFIA. The normal SFIA process starts with a self assessment. And that's an important part. It's not going and sitting down with some auditor and saying, yeah, here's my skills yet, right? The second part is the most engaging part of it. It's sit down with your manager, your supervisor, whoever is most familiar with your ways and daily responsibilities, right? You meet with them. It's not designed to be part of your performance appraisal yet. It's designed to be a conversation, right? I noticed you gave yourself level 4 competent, but you weren't, did you published in any magazines? Have you spoken at trade shows? That's what full competence is. You're a recognized industry leader. Or the other end of the spectrum, I see you only gave yourself a level 3 knowledge on project management, but you've been involved in the last 4 projects and I've seen you stepping it up. You definitely have some proficiency and maybe even teetering on some competence at a level 3, not level 7. I'm industry thought leader. Having that data objectively just transforms all of it.
Awesome. Definitely. So is the well so is this something that is can be, as you have already mentioned, it is open source, so which means that it is open to contributions from various professionals in the field in terms of improving this overall process in the way they
Yeah.
actually do whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, great. But
I
at
have
the,
something I think that can really help steer,
sure.
particularly to your audience. You mentioned that it's awareness is the biggest problem, but most people don't know. If you go look in the NIST and NICE best practices, the body knowledges, there are at least 50 job roles already mapped to SFIA that they just didn't happen to catch in the documentation. So there are, and I know Ian and Peter at the SFIA Foundation are working on updating all of the mappings to version 2. So there's a lot, although most people don't know it, there is a lot, particularly in the cybersecurity IT audit world. Uh, the data and everything already is there that if you looked at the job roles, if you're using NICE and NIST, just go on there and it'll show you what SFIA skills those job roles are and help you actually get some better. I mean, we're talking frameworks here today, right?
Mhm.
NIST and
Exactly.
NICE is accepted globally in a lot of different countries, and SFIA is already perfectly aligned to support some of those cybersecurity IT audit frameworks.
Okay, sure. Exactly. Um, so solving the cybersecurity unemployment skill shortage crisis. Would you say that this is the solution, or this is part of the solution to the
I'm
problem?
going to give one of our partners some love and say, check out the Collective X in South Africa. They're not a partner from a revenue perspective, but they're changing the world. So they have Collective X is a government funded, I don't know exactly what to call them, association, trade group, where they're focusing on transforming the youth of South Africa into digitally qualified professionals, right? They are starting these kids in 6th and 7th grade with digital careers in mind. They're building their SFIA profile out very early on. And they've when these students graduate high school, they get a track of 2 choices. They can go a traditional academic route and go to university or college, or they've got 12-month programs that are built to helping students get to certain levels of proficiency. And the game changer here is they have employers, a lot of the largest employers in South Africa, guaranteeing them jobs when they finish the program. I have a buddy who just paid tens of thousands of dollars to go to a 16-week web dev boot camp. And I asked him last week, and he doesn't know how to use Outlook. So there's a million companies out there selling you. All he got was a certificate of completion for
That's
16
interesting.
grand.
That's that's a whole
So
different kind of room discussion. I've heard this so often.
another day, another time. But check out the Collective X because they're addressing this all the way down to try to be digitally competitive in 5, 10, 20 years. If you take a macro look at some of this stuff, it's a much different conversation than the very micro focused. And that's what SFIA refreshing every 3 years. So if you look, we're on version 9, it's 25 years old. They commit to refresh every 3 years. You don't have to make investments or near the amount of investments in emerging technology monitoring. That is an actual SFIA skill. Right? You can just use this global framework, know that every 3 years your overlay is going to be updated, and it's not going to impact the programs you're already deploying. It's going to help make sure that none of your people end up in a course they didn't deserve, shouldn't be in. Everybody who's listening, I'm sure, has been in a training course where you were either way underqualified to be in that course or way overqualified to be in that course. And that experience isn't good for anybody, right? So when you have that data at the individual level, you can get really targeted with your programs. Should we give them a coach or mentor? Do we have 30 people that need this skill at this level and we should bring in a consultant and take everybody off the floor and do a 2-day course? If you don't have that data, you're guessing today at best. And that's what really fuels all of this Sophia stuff.
Awesome. I mean, I've gained quite a number of insights into, I mean, Sophia in of itself. And this is also pushing me further to investigate more, read more, to get more context about this in of itself. And also, I'm thinking of this on a more global scale, where governments, where countries can actually establish that framework, that platform, that mechanism, or that standardization when it comes on to appropriately having that proper alignment with our skills, our roles, what the market is actually looking for, having that standardized framework. And definitely, I believe that this would tremendously help to narrow that gap or that disparity between people who actually have skills and the roles and the organization not having what they say, people having enough skills to fill this role, which I totally, I mean, disagree with. It's just that many organizations, they want what they call the unicorns, which in many cases do not exist. So they still need to go back to the drawing board at the end of the day. So having this in place would definitely, I believe, make a lot of difference.
Let me challenge to close. I know we're about out of time. That maybe those unicorns do exist. However, you only have the data from what you hired them to do. They've been taking night courses. They've been going on LinkedIn Learning. They're taking MIT, Harvard level freeware college courses, and you don't have a clue that they're doing so. This is the self-learning economy. And
That's it.
even if you do think you have a skills inventory, I challenge you that it's way too focused on what those folks are doing now. They are
That's it.
doing other things. They have other skills. They bring other competencies from the jobs and experience before you hired them into your organization. And most today only can focus on that system analyst skill that they have, but they might be doing R programming classes 4 hours a night and competing in AI predictive analytics challenges for money, and you've got them sitting on the help desk.
Great. I mean, that's a very awesome point to end on. So, John, it was indeed a pleasure having you, sharing your experience, your insights into Sophia. I mean, I have learned a lot, and no doubt the audience have also been enlightened as relates to Sophia.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
So, there you have it, guys. Until then, stay connected for more uh, recordings of this nature.
Thank you so much.